Hello, everyone,
Hello.
and welcome to this week's episode or this week's stream. For real watchers, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone out there, make sure you comment, say hi. We'd love to say hi to you. Just a reminder that this is a live stream, and we're going to be going through all of our scripted content. So if you have any questions or any comments you'd like for us to get to, make sure you put them in the comment section, wherever it is, down below, left, right. I don't know what you're watching on, and we'll get to them after we do the recording. Hopefully, it's more than just a bot message about buying viewership.
I respect everybody.
Hey, I respect the hustle. You gotta message who you can. Hey, Adrian, another week. Last day of February. This is pretty exciting.
Yeah, almost my grandma's birthday. She was born on actual leap year, so in the government's book she's 95, but in reality she's like 23. So.
Hey, I'll take it, right? All right.
Please don't.
No. Like, I'll take the lower age is what I meant by that. Don't take that to a creepy place. Or maybe I just misspoke. Hey, let's go ahead and get to some of the biggest news stories that happened this week. Adrian, that is going to be up to you for the first story.
Awesome, yeah. Hitting the news week off, we have The Weeknd, formerly known as like a singer/artist exclusively, has actually landed his first starring role next to Jenny Ortega and Barry Keoghan. Untitled project, but we do know that it's actually coming up, and I'm pretty excited. I know, Garrett, we went to his Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, and there was a really cool production value there and just kind of really elaborate set design and stuff. So I'm excited to see what kind of creative talents he can bring to whatever project this is.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he can do. He definitely has a creative vision unlike any other singer in the industry right now. And I mean, hey, Jenna Ortega is riding this huge wave of her career with Wednesday and X and the new Scream 6 coming out this month, March.
I mean, as she should. She's on the rise, so why not ride it,
Absolutely. And Barry Keoghan is one of the better young actors in Hollywood. He was recently in the Batman. He played the Joker-ish kind of character, and Oscar nominated, I believe. I have to double check that for The Banshees of Inisherin, which he was fantastic in. So, yeah, excited to see what comes of that, though. But let's go ahead and get into the second story here. And that is going to be Mr. Guillermo del Toro, writing the success of Pinocchio, is actually going to be debuting a new stop-motion animated film for Netflix called The Buried Giant, which is, I guess, a very popular, I don't say it's like a kid's fantasy novel, but it is a popular enough fantasy novel and something that seems right up del Toro's alley for some sort of adaptation. And I'm glad we're getting more stop motion movies because Pinocchio was gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, as far as visuals from Pinocchio, incredible to watch. I mean, every scene kind of had that jaw-dropping moment of cinematography and just style to it. So I'm always down for more Guillermo del Toro, and I'm always down for more stop motion. So I'm fully into this. I don't know if there's a release date yet, but I'll certainly be watching.
Sure. I mean, it's going to take a while. Stop motion is not a easy thing to do. So, but let's go ahead and get into the next story here, Adrian.
Awesome. Yeah, we have RRR Naatu Naatu. One of the major songs will be performed at the Oscars. Garrett, I know we talked a bit about this beforehand. There is a little bit of belief. While the song itself is nominated, it's mostly been snubbed for every other nomination, which is pretty terrible because it definitely is one of the top films kind of to come out in this genre ever right now. So definitely an interesting situation.
It was just one of the best films that came out last year, period. I mean, yeah. It kind of had everything, and I think, Naatu Naatu has been sweeping the award season awards for original song, upsetting Rihanna and Lady Gaga and all these established artists. So it'll be interesting to see if it takes the Academy Awards too.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's definitely deserving, so I'm down for it.
Hey, I'm always down to see something different happen at the Oscars. If it's not a slap, then we'll be good to go. Getting into the next story here, pretty big. Warner Brothers has confirmed that we are going to be getting new Lord of the Rings feature films. This is a little weird, given the fact that we just got a big series from Amazon that is actually still ongoing. Season 2 is coming at some point. And actually, I believe the head of the Amazon development and Amazon's TV side has stated that the two can coexist together, which, I mean, props to a corporate person for saying something like that. But I mean, I don't know what it's going to be. I mean,
to me, the only thing I can imagine is that they take place on slightly different positions in the timeline. So, like what we're getting now with the TV show and what we've had with the movies so far, this has to take place outside of that in some capacity. It has to tell something we haven't seen before. If it's just regurgitating or re-releasing something or like remaking it, I'm not that into it. I want to see something new. I want to see something fresh. I'm kind of tired of all this like, oh, we're making it again thing. So I want something new.
I mean, unfortunately, one of the downsides of the Lord of the Rings series is that it's kind of original. It's not like a true adaptation, which for many people said it was a failing of it. But I mean, there's a lot of books that they could adapt. There's the Silmarillion, which is one of the biggest books he ever did, and then several other of his works. There's a world that they could completely expand on. So I get the sentiment, but I mean, I know there is a Lord of the Rings anime film coming.
Yes. Yeah,
it's about Helm's Deep, which I don't know if that's a part of what they're saying, but hey, I'm down for that any day of the week. So, but alrighty, moving on. We got a big one here.
Yeah, moving right along. We talked about this last week, and despite all charges with Alec Baldwin, Rust has resumed filming. Quite a lot also going on. We'll touch on that in a further story. But very interesting that this movie's even being continued at all. It seemed like a recipe for cancellation and termination of all contracts just to wipe their hands clean, but the studio has chosen to clearly move forward for some reason. So I am excited that we will get to see the film that caused all of this and potentially see the shot they were shooting when he shot the gun.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that one like very famous sequence. I think it's the Great Train Robbery from like the early 10s or the early 20s, where the guy shot directly into the lens and everyone in the theater freaked out. But now it's just actually what the director saw.
Or like what's that lady from Blade where she shot the bow and arrow and it hits the camera?
The IMAX camera. Yeah. That was Jessica Biel on. I think it was Blade Trinity. Yeah. That was an expensive camera. But yeah, very interesting to see what's going to happen with that. Maybe it's going to be one of those cursed films, like it's just going to go down, like people are going to go see it because of all the, the storyline around it.
I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a limited release, actually. I know that might seem like kind of crazy that it's obviously a huge production, but I feel like kind of like The Interview, that movie that came out that was like banned in a bunch of countries. I can just see this being like straight to Apple TV or something like that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I got no idea. I mean, it could get. I don't even know what studio is behind it. I have to do a little bit more research on that. If it's a big studio, it's going to go into theaters, and
but at least behind a paywall minimum, no matter where it goes, you're going to have to pay to see it. I feel like there's no way they're just going to release it and have it be a free stream on Netflix or anything.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, well, not to be fair, to kind of bring a point, if Warner Brothers didn't cancel The Flash with everything that Ezra Miller did.
It's very true.
Kind of makes sense that this would get, continue going as well. But we got another story here about Rust to kind of keep talking about it. And that is that Mr. Alec Baldwin, who has actually pled innocent to the manslaughter charge that is currently facing him, is now also being sued by 3 Rust crew members for what is being considered blast injuries. I've never heard that phrase before. Probably should have done some research before the stream, but hey,
I'd imagine my immediate thought is like the noise, right? A gun going off. Maybe they were in close proximity with boom mics and headsets on, so it may have hurt their eardrums. What I do see though from all this is people seeing that there was money transacted between the initial lawsuit and them going, "Hey, me too. I was also there, and I also should get money for that."
I mean, I don't want to make light of a situation that's probably really bad for them. I mean, it also could be actual injuries sustained from, something else happening. I honestly, I don't know what blast injuries means, but Mr. Baldwin having a tough time out here. So we'll end up seeing what happens with that. But going back into production, that's kind of crazy. So
and moving right onto Guillermo del Toro back in the news this week. His Pinocchio takes top honors at the Annie Awards, which I wasn't super familiar with, but I have learned that they're like the Oscars of animation. So if you're into animation at all, definitely check out the Annie Awards every year. It seems like a very big deal. And Pinocchio pretty much took all the top spots there. And well-deserved, I'd say. If you've seen the movie or if you haven't, go watch it. But it is an absolutely incredible film and an incredible adaptation of the original story that I really enjoyed. Very dark though. Definitely not like a fun, lighthearted thing. It's I think in the beginning it gets pretty dark right away.
Yeah, it's quite a different movie than any other version. Certainly different than the terrible Disney Plus version we got this year. So
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take whatever we can get. Moving right along here, we got a pretty big one. This one's pretty special. So we had the Screen Actors Guild Awards earlier this week, and we had some history made. Not only did Everything Everywhere All at Once win Best On-Screen Ensemble, which means the entire cast won, but also Jamie Lee Curtis won the first acting award for supporting performance of the entire award season. And then Ke Huy Quan also became the first Asian male actor to win a supporting actor award for the SAG Guild, which is pretty impressive. And also Michelle Yeoh won Best Performance by a Lead Actress and is the first Asian actress to win the award. So
and
some pretty awesome
speech
history
by her as well. Her speech was really fun and just super honest. And I think well-deserved all the way around. I think this movie, obviously, you and I had talked about it. It was on the top of both of our lists. Even last week, we talked a bit about it in the news. I'm happy to see it get recognition all the way around.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that between the Screen Actors Guild and the Producers Guild, which also happened earlier this week, I believe, or last week, which Everything Everywhere All at Once won for that as well. Some really fascinating stuff that, I mean, it's pretty much a lock at this point. Everything Everywhere All at Once could win Best Picture for the Academy Awards, which is, hey, deserves it. But it also, if the SAG Awards carry through, it could be only the fourth movie in history, I believe, to have a Best Picture also win 3 performance spots.
Yeah, just all basically saying all the way around a fantastic film. It is going up against Maverick, though, so it is pretty interesting.
It's also going up against Avatar 2, which I don't think should be on there, but that's a topic for a different day. But Adrian, let's go ahead and move right along. We got something cool for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they need a bit of good news right now. And what is that?
Absolutely. Steven Yeun is joining Marvel's Thunderbolts. Obviously, very famous actor from Walking Dead and Minari, I believe is the name of the movie. Very, very well known. No idea what he's going to play yet, but I know that Marvel definitely is in a bit of a downfall right now, which is really unfortunate to see. They've got a lot of what seems to be going for them. They just can't seem to hit their stride like they used to be. That might be a product of a bunch of other things, but at least the addition of some really good prominent actors is really exciting to see. And I'm looking forward to the announcement of who he's going to play, because it could be anybody.
Yeah, it could be the villain of the movie. It could be, another character we haven't seen added to the cast yet. But I mean, actually, I think he'd be a cool Mr. Fantastic. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Could be. That would
probably not what it is,
but version of expectations. But I'd be welcome to it for sure.
Hey, I'm totally down for it. We need to get some sort of Fantastic forecasting news soon, please. But last story up here for the day. Let's go ahead. Talking superheroes. The Flash, the upcoming DC superhero film, will be screening for the first time at CinemaCon 2023 in the next couple of months here, which is pretty exciting that it's actually screening there instead of just a world premiere before the movie comes out. I know it has a very troubled history with star Ezra Miller, which, the movie, a lot of people said the movie should have been pulled or heavily edited or whatever. But it is coming out. But DC seems to be very, very enthusiastic about it. Specifically, James Gunn saying it's one of the best superhero films he's ever seen, which is a huge praise.
And I think And I think the reason that it wasn't canceled was specifically because of how much hinges on it, with it being the jumping off point for the entire new DC storyline, with all the new movies to follow stemming from this movie. I don't think they could cancel it, and it seems like they were already really invested. I'm excited for the Flash movie. I mean, I'll probably go see it. I'm a little hesitant just based off everything that's happened. And I kind of get the little bit smaller release. I feel like they're trying to get their feelers out before kind of letting audiences grab a hold of it. Because if everyone absolutely hates it, then maybe they do pull it before it hits theaters. I mean, who knows? You can always make that decision. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
It's just a good sign that they're going to be debuting it for movie fans, for film fans, essentially before even like the press gets to see it, which is it's pretty big. So it speaks confidence to me. So yeah, but that's going to be it for the news stories this week. Adrian, it sounds like we also have some pretty big trailers that came out this week.
Yeah, just a few, with the biggest one being my favorite, which is the new Peter Pan movie. I actually shockingly think this movie looks amazing. I think it looks really, really fun. I'm sure there's a lot of controversy around casting and all that stuff. I haven't really read too much into it. I just watched the trailer recently, and I just think it looks super fun. I feel like it's got a fresh take. It's got some, to me, it's got good acting in it and cool visual effects. So I think I'm down for it.
Yeah, of all the trailers that came out this week, this is my favorite, and it literally just dropped this morning. Which I was watching the trailer and I was kind of just like, why are we getting another Peter Pan movie? I mean, it's Disney. Obviously, they're remaking everything under the sun to try and get some more money. Which, hey, at the end of the day, they're a business. We get it. Totally. But also, like, the movie is directed by David Lowery, which, if you don't know who he is, he directed one of my I believe my best picture from 2021, which is The Green Knight. Which fantastic movie. So like I'm very excited now for Peter Pan and Wendy to see what happens with it. And I know a lot of people are very excited for this movie.
Yeah, it seems like an opposite reaction to when they announced The Little Mermaid. I feel like everyone was like, no. And this one, everyone seems to kind of be like, hell yeah. Like, this looks really good.
Well, it looks much more down to earth, and it looks like the muted tones, and it looks much more visually interesting, I think, than any other Peter Pan film that we've received before.
But it doesn't have Robin Williams, which is, of course, a drawback.
I mean, yeah, but Robin Williams played a very specific version of Peter Pan, and this is a different version.
Totally.
I mean, and it's pretty much unknowns for the kid roles. It looks like, except I do know that this is apparently true, that Wendy is played by Mia Jovovich's daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
You think there'll be any zombies in the movie?
Well, I'm saying hopefully it's not mother like daughter, because I mean the daughter already looks like a better actress than Mila Jovovich. So I mean we'll see what happens there. But yeah, pretty slow week for trailer releases though.
Yeah, so, and there's obviously a ton. They're ticking along the bottom of the video here. We've got the RR Fan Celebration re-release, which if you haven't seen that on streaming, definitely go check that out. One of the best movies of the past year. I did watch Pope's Exorcist trailer. Not that good.
I don't know what got Russell Crowe attached to that movie, but yeah, that's going to be a fun one to rip apart.
It kind of seems like everything else this year is a little more, or everything else this past week is a little more indie, or a little more just like cash grabby feeling. I'm not really sure. It just kind of felt like everything just seemed like a weird movie that's going to come out, except for Peter Pan. So save the week for me.
Hey, I can't wait for Peter Pan. It's going to look pretty good. But that is going to be it for Trailer Park, for all the trailers that are coming out over the last week. Adrian, yeah, we got to go to, was it my watch list? Yeah, Garrett's watch list. Growing Pains. Gotta love him. Second episode. Alrighty. So, hi. Welcome to Garrett's Corner. I watch a lot of movies every single week, and Garrett's Watch List is a chance for me to go ahead and share what I have watched over the last week and tell you what you should watch and what you shouldn't. So let's go ahead and dive right in with the first film that I watched this week, and that would be 2022's Violent Night. I said aside from editing and pacing issues, this action romp is way more fun and funny than it has any right to be, and carves a bloody name for itself as an adult holiday cult classic in the making. This is one of those movies that I will probably watch next year for holidays, because it's great, and they do some awesome setup for a second one. Next up is a 2018 horror film called The Farm, and man, it's hard to make a movie about cannibals very boring and disinteresting, and also just terrible. I said that The Farm is all around terrible. It takes way too long to get started, doesn't provide any resolution to anything, and fails to give us any reason to care. No message, no real shock value, just an absolute train wreck. It's a lot of images of people walking around a farm in animal masks. That's about it. Next up is the classic 1998 animated film, The Prince of Egypt. It is a beautifully animated and features incredible music. The Prince of Egypt is a wonderful film adaptation of the religious myth. However, there are a few moments when it suffers from being a little too family-friendly. I think that they could have cut out a little bit more of its slapsticky kind of gags and more animated humor and gone full-on, telling with incredible music. But hey, not my decision on that, but it is still a great film and would highly recommend it. Next up is 2009's The Secret of Kells from Irish animation studio Cartoon Saloon. With its beautiful animation, incredible music, and wonderful voice performances, The Secret of Kells is only hampered by its short length and a little bit of a lack of explanation. The biggest complaint here is that it is short. It's an hour and 15 minutes, and it could definitely use a lot more time to fill out its world. But when your biggest complaint is that it's not long enough, that's actually a good thing, I would say. Next up is The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, easily the single most uniquely crafted Studio Ghibli film to date. This film is astoundingly beautiful and reminds us of why we exist for the brief time that we do, to bring joy to those around us and to create wonderful memories. This film is gorgeous. I believe Adrian can attest. He's gone through all the Studio Ghibli films in the past. An absolute stunner of a film. So highly recommend this. It's on HBO Max as a part of the Studio Ghibli collection if you have not seen it. Next up, The Garden of Words. Easily the single most beautiful work of animation ever created. It's unfortunate that the story for this film just doesn't quite make itself interesting or deep enough to match the level of animation. This is the first, I believe, directorial work of Makoto Shinkai, the director of acclaimed film Your Name, and it's more like a really nice tech demo, what you can show for animation. It's also a shorter film, right about an hour, but it is a gorgeous film. Next, 127 Hours, that movie. Yes, the one with the arm-cutting Huff. While it's an emotional and thrilling journey, what's really incredible is how director Danny Boyle utilizes the space available to tell the story, and James Franco's performance is truly inspired. Unfortunately, it's all kind of wasted on a film that no one's really gonna remember. Not a lot of people remember 127 Hours. A lot of people don't remember that it exists. It's a little bit of an Oscar baity movie, but it does just enough to kind of elevate it itself above that trapping of being an Oscar bait film. Next, one of the best movies of all time, rewatched this and actually gave it a review. 2001: A Space Odyssey, gave it a perfect 100 out of 100. It is a masterpiece of science fiction and visual storytelling. 2001 is a cinematic marvel ahead of its time and will linger with you long after the credits have rolled. If you haven't watched this movie, again, highly recommend it. And again, the last one here is Megan, the 2023 horror film that came out and shocked the world with how well it did performance-wise at the box office. I give it a 70 out of 100. I said that while it may be a better remake of Child's Play than the latest version of that film, Megan is a really fun time, even if it takes a little too long to get started and doesn't quite nail the messaging it's going for. So that is going to be the last film that I watched this week. If you want to see any of these reviews in a little bit more detail and anything else that I have seen, any other reviews and what I recommend, you can go to a little link right down here, which is my letterbox. You can search me by name, or you can go to my blog at garrettokeefe.blogspot.com for more info. So thank you for letting me share that on Garrett's Watch List.
No worries. I can't believe you feel 127 Hours is a movie no one will remember. I feel like it's talked about all the time.
When it comes to like inner film circles, not really. It's kind of forgotten. It's one of those ones that it was a great performance vehicle for James Franco, but other than that, yeah, it was.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I talk about it all the time.
Hey, maybe, I don't know. That scene with cutting his arm off though is truly just horrifying.
Oh, when he hits the nerve on there and the sound. Ooh, gives me chills. All right, moving right along into what's coming out this weekend. Obviously, we are a movie news TV show / stream show. So there's obviously a lot coming out. You'll see all the ticker of everything coming out. I'm just going to talk about some of the big ones that are coming out, or at least the bigger names. We do have the new Children of the Corn movie coming out this Friday. If you're into any horror movie, I'm not sure how promising this movie looks, but definitely go check it out. It does open, I believe, everywhere. Then we also have Creed 3, one of the ones I'm personally most excited about. The Creed series has been an excellent kind of reboot / continuation of the Rocky series, and I couldn't be more excited to see Michael B. Jordan continue on in this role. Looks like it's going to be a good movie. We also have that opens Friday. We also have the release of the Demon Slayer movie that comes out on Friday. If you've watched the anime on Netflix or even seen any of the movies, I believe this is the second one. But definitely go check it out. It's a great show. The animation style and that is absolutely incredible. They have a great 3D aspect to it that really kind of stuns a lot of the time. And then we also have the, as previously mentioned, RRR Fan Celebration re-release. So if you haven't had a chance to go see that in theaters, this would be a great time. I might go see it in theaters. I really, really like the movie, so I might check it out. And then the last one is going to be kind of a throwback. But if you haven't seen Casablanca, it is actually re-releasing anywhere that Fathoms plays their movies. They always have like these events where they show older films, but you get to see it on the big screen again, which is honestly maybe an opportunity you can't really pass up if you haven't seen it, or if you have. And definitely, I would think is worth checking out. And that opens on Sunday for, I believe, one day. I think it's like a one-time showing, if I'm not mistaken.
Most of the time, Fathom events are 1 day or 2 day. There's usually several, like maybe 1 or 2 different times, but it depends on the event for sure.
Yeah, check it out on Sunday if you want to see it. I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that film countless times. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of the best movies ever made, and I haven't seen it in theaters, so I'll probably be going out to see that when you're going to see Creed 3. We'll just be 80 years apart.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, excited for not excited. Like the Demon Slayer. There was a Demon Slayer film that came out in 2020, like right towards, or like 2021, I think, right when theaters started to open back up after the pandemic, and it became one of the highest grossing movies of the year. And it's kind of cool that they're getting a second film for fans of the anime. Personally, I'm not a fan of it myself, but I know a lot of people who are.
Really? So good. Interesting.
Hey, you know what? Can't please everyone.
Yeah.
So, well, cool. Let's go ahead and dive into the box office features from this weekend. Not a whole lot surprising here, except for one. So number one, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which brought in $32 million on its second weekend, which is one of the biggest drops for any Marvel film ever. Not too surprising since the reviews were pretty low for this film. I
think that's what happens when like word of mouth gets out that the movie's just okay. I think you see that drop off of people that were like, oh, if it's good, I'll go check it out. They're not going to go see it. So I think that's what we're seeing here. It's just okay.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have yet to see how it performs in total over its lifetime. But I haven't seen the movie yet, and I usually go I go opening day for every Marvel movie. And I might be waiting for Disney Plus on this one. I don't know.
You're part of the problem.
To be fair, I did see it. There was a TV spot that played on YouTube or something, and there's a piece of visual effects that looked so bad, and they put it in the TV spot. So I'm like, okay, hopefully they iron that out and put it on Disney Plus, looking a little bit better. But at number two, this is a big surprise. Cocaine Bear opened up to $23 million, which is apparently the movie's pretty good. So I have yet to go see it. I'll probably go see it sometime this week. Did you go see it, Adrian?
No, I did not, but I think that people are watching this because they just can't believe this movie exists.
Yeah.
I think people, it's just like that shock factor, which has its own pros and cons, but I think people are literally just going to see it to say they've seen it. I think, and that's great marketing. That's great premise. There's a lot of things that are going for that. I gotta wait till I see actual feedback on it. I'm not sure it's gonna be worth my money. I might wait till it's worth a fun horror night or a fun stream night with the friends.
Hey, if you get one of those like Movie Pass, Regal Pass, AMC Pass things, and you can go for free, then it's worth it. Yeah. Then there you go. Number three coming out was Jesus Revolution, a movie that we thought was kind of limited coming out last week, but actually came out to some pretty big numbers at 15 million, which is a pretty big opening for an indie film. Not surprising when there's not a lot going on this weekend and not a lot of people are going to go see Ant-Man 3. And kind of, if you're not in the Cocaine Bear market, maybe Jesus Revolution might be more up your speed. I don't know. Coming at number four, the biggest position drop for Avatar 2, bringing in $4 million on this. I don't even know what weekend it is for. It's been almost like 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
If not longer. And then number five is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which is also holding on pretty well, too.
Right there with Avatar 2, as always.
Right there. I mean, Megan's the one that's not on there anymore because she's on Peacock now.
And, I really wouldn't be surprised here with Avatar 2 kind of winding down, but then being so close to the record. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if we see some sort of re-release or extra feature come out like we saw with Endgame, just to get that a last little push. I don't know if it'd be worth it to go see again. I probably personally wouldn't, but I would be interested to see the footage. But I'd, again, probably wait. But I guarantee we're going to see some sort of final effort from the studio. Because I think that's kind of the trend now when you're that close to the record of all time. I mean, you kind of got to do something.
Yeah, and if we end up hitting the point where all the top five best, highest grossing movies of all time are all Avatar movies, I'm gonna be a little upset because I mean, dude, Endgame worked so hard to get that high.
And you know what? And we'll get the call from James Cameron. He'll go, Garrett, I'm so sorry that you're upset by my staggering achievement.
Yeah, he calls me every Sunday and he's like, I'm sorry that we're doing so well, and he's just like, I can hear him like flicking the money in it over the receiver.
And he says, I did make a call. Casablanca's coming back to theaters this Sunday.
to drive all the kids back to see Avatar 2 again. Yeah, that's going to be it for the box office figures for the last weekend. Adrian, before we end this, and also if you're watching, have any comments for us, any questions, we'll do a Q&A after the recording. As we already said, you can go ahead and comment those whenever you'd like, and we'll get to them afterward. But Adrian, what's on your watch list? What are you currently watching?
Yeah, right now, as kind of everybody in the world, it seems, I'm watching The Last of Us, a little behind right now, to be honest. My girlfriend Cassidy started watching it, and I decided to wait because we can watch the 6th and 7th episode together, I believe. So she's almost caught up, so we'll be doing a little bit of a binge here shortly. Obviously, watching The Bachelor, as long as that's on, you'll see it. That's kind of a constant here in our household. Also watching How I Met Your Father. It's on season 2 right now. Really, really good. Highly recommend it if you were a fan of the first one, or even if you haven't seen the first one, you don't have to watch this second series. Very, very good. And then I also just watched the movie The Strays, which is a new release on Netflix, kind of a horror thriller kind of movie, and I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting enough to keep me kind of entertained. I don't think it's anything to like write home about, or I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but if you're looking for that kind of genre film, maybe you're just sitting at home one day and you got nothing to watch, it's definitely worth checking out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. We're with The Last of Us. I mean, I am up to date. I am not left behind, which was the name of episode 7. Yeah, easily the best show on TV right now. We said it last week, and we're going to keep saying it. It is one of the best TV shows in a very long time. HBO continues just to knock it out of the park. Starting tonight at midnight Pacific time is Mandalorian season 3. So I will be waiting up till midnight to check that out to see if I'm gonna want to, catch it every week or not.
Yeah, this is a hot take. I think I'm gonna miss this one. If it ends up being a thing, like kind of some of the Marvel movies, like I'll pick it up halfway through and kind of binge catch up. But yeah, I just feel like the latest I missed Andor. I'm just not into the Star Wars. I stopped halfway through Kenobi. Maybe it's just not my cup of tea anymore, or maybe it was like a product of the time of COVID when it came out that felt bigger than it was. I'm just not sure, but it's just not hitting lately. So we'll see how it goes. It
is a shame that you didn't finish Andor though. Andor is properly good.
I didn't even start Andor.
You should. It is a very good show.
Yeah,
it's like if you wanted that itch, that adult Star Wars show kind of itch, something that's a little bit deeper, no Jedi, it's more like Rogue One again. It scratches that itch. It's pretty good. So highly recommend. Even the people who hate on like all the stuff that Disney does, are like Andor's properly good.
Yeah, I've heard the feedback and people are saying like the ending is super good and all that stuff, and I don't know. I just kind of feel like I'm over the Disney Plus formula, and I get everyone saying this is this one is a standout, but I think I just don't like the way they produce shows. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. I'm not a huge fan of like that process. I don't know. It just doesn't come across as genuine to me. It comes across as cash grabby every time.
Interesting. It's definitely an interesting perspective. But that brings us to the end of this week's Real Watchers. Hopefully you guys are keeping up and watching some pretty awesome stuff out there too. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Subscribing is free and you have no idea how much it helps us out. If you're watching us on Twitch, make sure you give us a follow. We'd love to build that followership up there as well.
The followership of the ring.
The followership of the ring, indeed. That's a great callback to Lord of the Rings earlier. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. These videos go live these live streams go live every week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. We'd love for you to come and hang out with us live in person. We'd love to talk with you, get some Q&A done. But thank you so much for watching this latest episode of Real Watchers, and make sure you keep your eyes on the screen. Alrighty. I saw we had a comment, and I know exactly who that is, Mr. Toxic Nos 12. Hello. Thank you for commenting. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? That's it.
That's it.
It's the problems with the beginning of a new show, and no one's tuning in just yet. We're not hitting those viewership numbers of Last of Us. You know what I mean?
Definitely not. We don't have Pedro Pascal, the internet's daddy, on our show. So
yeah, we don't have a miracle child that he can transport. Yeah.
You're also not wearing a chest restrictor. which is probably a really
True. I need to hold all this in. But dang, yeah, man, the show's so good. I'm so upset you're not up to date because I want to talk about the latest episode because it's so good.
Well, we can't do spoilers, even if I was up to date.
I totally get you. Yeah, we can't. We don't want to do that in case any of you out there haven't watched either.
If we ever do spoil anything on this show, there will be a lot of warnings because we understand it's live. So you just joining it all is kind of a risk, joining any live thing talking about movies coming out. So we will always be very careful not to spoil anything.
100%. Yeah, we're always working to make sure that we don't spoil anything. Luckily, we're not doing like actual film kind of reviews or analysis like we used to do on the old podcast. So it's a little hard for us to spoil anything now because it's all just news and speculation.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we talk about anything, especially on like my segment with the movie reviews and what we're currently watching, 100%, we're not gonna spoil those at all. Too much fun to check them out for the first time. So
cool.
But alrighty. Well, doesn't look like there's any more questions. Doesn't look like anyone else is chiming in. Got a couple of seconds here to get something in. If you want to comment, send a question, anything like that, before we end the broadcast. So what do you think is going to be the biggest movie of March? Do you think it's going to be Scream? Do you think it's going to be Creed? Do you think it's going to be Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves? What do you think is going to be the biggest movie of the month?
Creed 3.
Interesting.
By far.
I would say either Creed or Scream. I think that, because Scream's a big enough franchise, and the fifth one was pretty well received. So, I mean, you could get some decent numbers.
I think it's
but you never know.
To the theater. Yeah, I think it's about like people that are going to go see it in theaters.
You never know, though. I think the D&D movie could come away with it because there's a lot of D&D fans out there, and with the recent. It looks like Guardians of the Galaxy in fantasy, which I'm more than happy with.
Have you seen the trend or the meme, I guess, where people are saying that every non-main character should be played by the same person, but no one ever addresses it? Mm-hmm. I think that would be perfect.
It's like, yeah, everyone that's not a main character is just the DM.
Yeah. And it would just be like Idris Elba, just for every other character.
Be a great meta joke if it was like Matt Mercer.
That would be. Do you feel like any of those people are in it?
They have said that there is a huge cameo, or there are some big cameos in the movie, and I 100% think that there is at least one Critical Role cameo in the movie.
I gotta believe it's Matt Mercer. I mean, how could it not be?
It's got to be Matt Mercer or Joe Manganiello.
I could definitely see Joe, yeah, and I can also see the entire Critical Role crew being another group of adventurers that they like bump into.
Yeah.
And they'd have like a weird interaction with each other and then they just go their separate ways.
Yeah, or it's their own characters from Vox Machina or
that's what I'm saying, but they're actually playing them in the movie.
It'd be great. But I'm super stoked for that movie. I think it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. They put out a new cool video recently. It's like, hey, check out the monsters or the creatures of the thing, and it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's kind of a cool way to get people into D&D who don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I think just also a way to branch out the patent and everything, or not the patent, but like the game concept and everything, and get people into it.
Yeah,
we also got the new Destiny 2 Lightfall expansion drop today. It's video game related, but the new, in keeping it with film, the opening cinematic is one of the craziest cinematics I've ever seen.
Dang. Okay.
In terms of like, if you've been kept up with all the lore and everything, it's pretty crazy what happens in it. All
right, I'll have to check it out. It's probably on YouTube.
We'll check it out right after this.
There you go. Also, if speaking of gaming, speaking of crazy, Atomic Heart is one of the best looking games visually I think I've ever seen.
Okay, now Garrett, be honest. Do you just like the sexy ballerina twins, or are you enjoying the game?
I'm not going to confirm nor deny any attraction to the sexy robot ladies. It's not even that, man. Have you seen the clips of the fridge, like the refrigerator?
Yes, I've watched. There's been a ton of stuff on my TikTok about it.
Usually when I'm thirsty, I go to the fridge. The fridge doesn't come to me. That was really awkward. It was like playing one of those. It's like watching like a degenerate anime. When you first encounter it, it's really funny. But the game is surprisingly fun. But there's definitely some potential controversy issue behind it because the studio might be funded by someone who directly profits and supports, Putin's regime and things like that. But I mean, I got it for free through Game Pass, so I'm guilt-free. But yeah. Well, looks like we haven't got any other comments or any other questions. So thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of Real Watchers. We will be back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. And we'll see you then.